Hello, first grade social scientists and economists. It's me, Mr. B, here to talk to you about one of the very important aspects of everybody's lives, which is economics. So, we are taking a break from science and religion this week. We're going to explore our final topic in social studies, which is economics, the economy. And so economics, and this is how you spell economics, Economics, and you might have heard people talk about the economy. So the economy is, and economics is the study of how people live in groups to use their resources to take care of their wants and needs. So that might sound kind of basic, but it's actually pretty complicated because it really matters what type of life people have, really matters or depends on, do they have enough resources to take care of their needs and to allow them to fulfill some of their wants. Okay, so to back up, social studies is the study of how human beings survive and live in groups. We've talked about this every time we start a new social studies unit. I remind you that human beings are social animals. We need to live in groups in order to survive. We're not like some animals that can live on our own. We need to live on groups. So the social studies is the study of what are the ways to successfully live in a group. Living in a group is important. It's not always easy. So it means you have to follow rules and laws. So that's why in the first social studies unit we learned about rules and laws. It means you have to be careful about the land and the environment. So that's why in the second unit of social studies we learned about geography. We learned about the land and water forms where people live and how we use them. And then in order to be successful living in groups, we have to learn from our past history. So that's why our third social studies unit was about history, the story of our past. Not just history, but her story. We learn from the past so we can make better choices in the future. And then a few weeks ago, we learned about culture. We studied groups' ways of doing things and how different groups celebrate their cultures and how we can be comfortable with different cultures, because in order to work in groups, we have to get along with people who have different ways of doing things than our way, right? We can't just fight people because they're different. We have to hopefully get along with them happily. And by doing so, we can all better take care of our wants and needs. So now we're studying economics, and economics is about things like money. How do we get money? What do we use our money for? What choices do we make with our money? So we're going to study that. And so to get us started, I'm going to ask you to take your social studies book and open up to page 225. That's the first page in our unit. It's called Jobs People Do. If you need to pause this video to take time to get onto page 225, please do that. Okay? Press play when you're ready to keep going from page 225. All right. Now turn the page. On 226 and 227 are some important vocabulary words that we're going to be talking about when we study the economy. You know those: pennies, money. So the first vocabulary word, goods. Goods. Okay, good doesn't just mean to do well. In economics, goods are things that can be bought and sold. A good is something that you can see and touch. So, when you buy something like a pencil or something really important these days, Clorox wipes, you can see them, you can touch them. Those are goods. So some of the things we need to survive are goods. But here's another important word: services. Services are work that people do for others for money. And we buy services with our money. Services are things that people do for us that we can't really see or touch. For example, if you get sick and you have to go to a doctor provides health care. Health care is not something you can see or touch, but it's really important. We pay a lot of money for health care. Another example of a service, well, in the picture, a bus driver is providing transportation. So the bus is a good, but the driver isn't giving you the bus. The driver is transporting you on the bus. Transportation is not something you can touch or feel. It's something that they do for you. That's a service. Let me give you one other example of a service. Every day, your teachers teach you. That is a service. Education is a service. You can't touch or feel or even see education, but it's really important. It makes your brain grow bigger and bigger so you can be in charge of your life. You can do whatever you want when you grow up. That's one of the reasons we get an education. Education is a service. Teachers help provide you that service. All right, so goods and services, important words. Factory, we're going to learn about that in economics. A building in which people use machines to make goods. So factories are places where goods are made. Every good that you buy or see or touch was made in a factory. These wipes were made in a factory somewhere. Actually, the wipes were made in one factory. The plastic container was almost certainly made in another factory. Okay, the pencil was put together in a factory, and the parts for the pencil were probably made in other factories. Later today, you're going to learn and read about how a factory that makes the old-fashioned yellow types of pencils that you have in your desk. Another important idea in economics: trade, which means to exchange one thing for another. When we buy things with our money, we are trading our money, and in return, somebody gives us something. So if I go to buy some hand sanitizer, maybe I want to buy this hand sanitizer at Walgreens or Walmart or CVS or any store, Target, okay? I trade with Target. I give them the money and they give me the hand sanitizer. I don't get to keep the money. I have to give that to them. And they don't get to keep the hand sanitizer. They give that to me. That's a trade. Just like if you're trading baseball cards or Pokemon cards or spinners or whatever you might trade with your friends. Well, when you buy things, that's another type of trade. Market, another important idea, is a place where people buy and sell goods. And actually, it's not just goods. We also buy and sell services in markets. So could be a store. Usually it's a store. But when your parents pay Holy Apostles for education, or they pay the hospital for your health care, or your doctor's office, clinic for health care, that's another type of market, a place where you trade money for goods in exchange for goods or services. All right. So after we talk about those vocabulary words, we're going to turn and we're going to start out by reading together a poem, really great poem, called Rush Hour. It starts on page 228. So put your reading finger under the words and let's try to read together. Okay, I'd like you to read with me because I think you'll enjoy it more if you read along. So listen and catch the pace and then follow along. So it starts out rush hour. This is the introduction. The poem starts on the next page. But the introduction says, find out what jobs people do in this busy city. And the title is Rush Hour by Christine Loomis, illustrated by Mari Takabayashi. All right, here we go. The poem starts here. Ready? Alarms are buzzing. Day is dawning. Sleepy people wake up yawning. You get the rhythm? Showers splash. Teeth are brushed. Hair is combed. Breakfast rushed. Sounds like my house most mornings. Out their doors go moms and dads, lugging tools or books and pads. Some alone, some with strollers, walkers, runners, readers, rollers.